I never thought I'd end up here, honestly. I married Lisa because she was smart, beautiful, and at first she seemed to genuinely care about me. We met during my time in the military, and she was the perfect combination of sweet and ambitious. I thought I'd found the one, but looking back now, I see all the signs I was too blind or maybe just too in love to notice. Still, nothing prepared me for the absolute shock I got one day, a day that changed everything. It started about 3 months ago. I was deep into a really sensitive espionage trial. I was defending a guy who was accused of leaking state secrets. It was intense. I was on edge, working day and night. Lisa had been acting weird lately, distant even. She'd brush me off when I tried to talk, and her phone was always locked. She'd get defensive if I questioned her about it. Then one day, I noticed her phone kept pinging at odd hours. Usually, she'd be asleep by then. I didn't think much, probably just work stuff or some late-night gossip, I told myself. But then I saw her texting someone. I looked over her shoulder and saw a name I didn't recognize. Alex, with a string of messages that didn't make sense at first glance, flirty, suggestive things that didn't sound like her. But what really threw me was the tone, the familiarity. It was like she was hiding something, and I knew she was. I decided to dig deeper because I couldn't shake the feeling that something was seriously wrong. I asked around her friends, her coworkers, even tried to get her to talk about her day. Nothing. She'd brush me off, give me the usual lies, it's nothing, just work stress, or you're imagining things. But I could tell she was lying. Her eyes darted, her voice got defensive. That's when I started noticing more signs. She was dressing sexier, staying out later, and always seemed nervous when I brought up the phone or her whereabouts. One night, I followed her after she said she was working late. She went to this upscale, sketchy hotel downtown. I parked nearby, watched her go inside, and my stomach dropped. I found out she was meeting someone, probably the guy she'd been texting. I wanted to confront her right then, but I knew I needed more proof. I needed to be sure. My mind was racing with questions. Who was this Alex? How long had this been going on? What the hell was I missing? Then came the moment I saw her come out of the hotel laughing with him. They looked comfortable, too comfortable for just a casual hookup. I took a picture with my phone, just enough to confirm my worst fears. My wife was cheating on me, and she didn't even try to hide it anymore. That was the night I realized my whole life was crumbling. The thing is, I love her, or at least I thought I did. But love doesn't survive betrayal like this. I felt a mix of rage, sadness, and disbelief all at once. I was furious at her, but part of me also felt heartbroken, like I had lost a version of my wife I thought I knew. I've been trying to process this all since then. But what made it worse is that I keep finding new things, little clues, more messages, even some strange calls that disappeared once I started snooping. It's like she's trying to cover her tracks, but she's bad at it. Or maybe I just didn't want to see the signs for so long. I keep asking myself, did I miss all the signs? Was I blind or just too scared to face the truth? Honestly, I feel like a fool, someone who thought he was in control of his life, but with one slip, everything just fell apart. And now I'm sitting here trying to figure out what to do next. Do I confront her? Do I leave? Do I try to save this mess? I don't even know if I can trust her anymore. My mind is a storm of emotion, and all I want is to figure out how to make sense of what's happened. The hardest part is knowing she's been lying to me this whole time, that she's been sneaking around, having sex with some guy I don't even know while pretending everything's fine. And the worst, I think she's done it before. The pattern's there, and I just missed it because I loved her too much to see the truth. After I gathered enough evidence, I couldn't keep it inside anymore. I needed to confront her, but honestly, I didn't even know what to say or how to act. My mind kept racing through every possible scenario: anger, tears, accusations, maybe even begging her to tell me it wasn't true. But deep down, I knew I had to face her sooner or later. So that night, I decided I'd come home early, catch her in the act if I could, or at least get her to admit what she was doing. I parked my car in the driveway, took a deep breath, and entered quietly. The house was dark except for the glow of the TV in the living room. I could hear her voice from the kitchen, loud and bratty, arguing with someone on the phone. I froze for a second, heart pounding. My mind was racing. Who the hell was she talking to like that? It was her usual bitchy tone, the one she put on when she was annoyed, but tonight it sounded sharper, angrier. I crept closer, trying to listen. That's when I overheard her say something about keeping their little secret and not getting caught, which made my stomach churn. I felt this surge of rage mixed with heartbreak, and I knew I couldn't just sit there and do nothing. I decided to come out in the open to force her to face me. I switched on the lights and stepped into the kitchen. She spun around, eyes wide, trying to hide her phone behind her back. Her face instantly turned guilty. She looked at me like I was the biggest idiot in the world. "John, what are you doing home so early?" she asked, trying to sound casual, but her voice cracked. I didn't bother with niceties. "Who the hell were you just talking to, Lisa? Or should I say Alex?" I saw her eyes flicker, the lie trying to slip out. She looked like she'd just been caught with her hand in the cookie jar, and honestly, I felt a strange combination of satisfaction and disgust. She stammered, trying to deny everything, but I cut her off. "Don't bother. I know what's going on. I followed you tonight. I saw you with him, Lisa. You've been screwing around, haven't you?" My voice was steady but cold. The look in her eyes was a mixture of shock and anger, and then she snapped. She started lying hard, saying it was just sex, that it was a mistake, that she didn't mean anything by it. "You're overthinking, John. It's not a big deal. We're not even serious. It's just sex. It doesn't mean anything," she spat. I felt my blood boil. How could she be so flippant about it? I wanted to punch something, scream, or just break down. The fact that she was trying to justify cheating on me like it was some minor slip-up made me see how selfish and bitchy she really was. I told her she was full of shit, that I knew about the messages, the hotel, everything. Her face got even more confrontational, and she threw out more lies. "You're paranoid. You're imagining things. You're just jealous because I don't want to have sex with you anymore." That last part hit me like a punch to the gut. My mind kept circling back to all the moments I'd tried to ignore her distant attitude, her late nights, her secretive phone. I realized she'd been cheating on me for months, probably longer, and I'd been too blind or too desperate to see it. The betrayal cut deep, more than I thought it would. I'd given her everything, my time, trust, love, and she'd been screwing around behind my back with some guy she barely even cared about, all because she thought she could get away with it. The emotional fallout was immediate. I felt numb, then furious, then incredibly sad. I wanted to believe her excuses, but I just couldn't. How could she be so callous, so disrespectful? The woman I married, who I thought was my partner, was now just a stranger who's been lying to my face every day. I stood there trying to process all this, fighting back the tears and the rage. I kept thinking, I deserve better, I deserve respect, and I sure as hell don't deserve to be humiliated like this. That night marked a turning point. I told her I needed some time to think, and I walked out of that house knowing my marriage was on life support. I didn't yell or scream, not then. I just looked at her with cold eyes and walked away, feeling like I'd lost everything that mattered. The betrayal was so raw, so fresh, that I couldn't imagine trusting her again anytime soon. I didn't even want to talk about reconciliation. I just wanted to breathe, to get space from the pain. Since then, I've been spiraling through a whirlwind of emotions. I've replayed that night in my head 1,000 times, questioning everything. What I did wrong, how I missed all the signs, why I was too blind to see what was happening right under my nose. The worst part is knowing she lied to me from the start, that she was capable of betraying me so easily. I start to wonder if I ever truly knew her, or if I was just fooling myself all these years. That's what hurts the most, realizing I was in a relationship built on lies. And yet, part of me still thinks about fixing it, about fighting for what's left if she's willing to be honest. But I don't know if that's even possible anymore. In the days that followed the confrontation, everything else felt like a blur. I was stuck in a fog of betrayal, anger, and confusion. I kept revisiting that night, replaying every word, every glance, trying to figure out if I'd missed some clear sign or if I'd just been too blind to see her true nature. Honestly, sometimes I wondered if I was just a fool who loved her too much, or if she was just that good at lying. Whatever it was, it didn't change the fact that I was now alone in a mess I didn't see coming. The most shocking thing about the whole situation was how quickly everything unraveled once I had proof. Her lies fell apart like a house of cards the moment I presented her with what I knew. But what I didn't expect was how she responded, with even more lies, manipulation, and outright denial. She kept insisting it was just sex, that it meant nothing, that I was paranoid. She called me possessive, insecure, even crazy for suspecting her. That's when I realized how deep her bitchiness went. She was a master at twisting things around, making me look like the bad guy for catching her. I didn't want to be played anymore. I was done with the lies. I told her I needed space, that I was going to stay with a friend for a while. I couldn't stomach the idea of coming home to her pretending everything was fine. But even in my anger, I knew I had to think clearly. I started researching divorce laws, how to protect myself financially, what my rights were. I wasn't planning to get back together, no way. I just wanted to make sure I didn't walk into a trap or get blindsided by some sneaky move she might pull. Meanwhile, Lisa's reactions only confirmed my suspicions. She became increasingly aggressive, trying to gaslight me, accusing me of overreacting or not trusting her. She threw tantrums, called me insecure, and even tried to guilt-trip me into staying because we have history. I couldn't believe how manipulative she was, like that bitchy, entitled attitude she had when she was trying to justify her cheating. I saw through it. I saw her for what she really was, a selfish, deceitful woman who thought she could get away with anything because she was pretty and entitled. The emotional toll was brutal. I felt like I had been hit by a truck. Every time I remembered her laughing with that guy, or how she lied right to my face, I wanted to scream. I kept thinking about all the promises we made, the nights I stayed up worrying about her, the future I had dreamed of that was now shattered. How could someone I loved, trusted, and built life with be capable of this? I wondered if I'd ever feel normal again or if I was destined to carry this betrayal forever. Some nights I couldn't sleep at all, just lying there, replaying the betrayal, feeling the sting of her lies. But I also knew I had to decide what I was going to do. Part of me wanted to confront her again, to tell her she was a horrible person, that I'd never forgive her. But I also knew that wouldn't fix anything. I couldn't force her to love me or respect me. I started to realize that the only thing I could control was my response, whether I stayed and let her manipulate me or I walked away and took control of my own life. So I made the decision. I was done playing her game. I wasn't going to let her win by breaking me down or making me feel guilty. If she wanted to keep lying, that was on her. But I didn't want any part of her deceit anymore. I told her I was filing for divorce, that I wanted nothing to do with her if she kept this up. That was the moment. I knew I was serious. Something inside me snapped and I refused to be her pawn anymore. Looking back, I realize how naive I was to think she was different. I thought she loved me, but she was just using me, playing her little game of manipulation and betrayal. I should have seen the warning signs, her bitchy attitude, her secretive behavior, the way she avoided honest conversations. But I was blinded by love and hope. Now all I feel is relief that I finally took control, even if it's hard to admit that I'm starting to accept it's over. I know I'll have to rebuild, to trust again someday, but right now, I just need to survive the fallout of her betrayal. The thing I've learned is that some people are just good at lying, and sometimes the truth hits you so hard, it leaves you reeling for a long time. The actual process of separating wasn't easy, but I knew it was necessary. I started packing my things slowly, not because I wanted to drag it out, but because I needed to process everything at my own pace. Every item I packed felt like releasing a piece of the past. I kept thinking about all the times I trusted her, all the nights I stayed up worrying, and how she turned out to be just another manipulative bitch who thought she could get away with anything. The hardest part was knowing she was still in that house, maybe just waiting for me to make the first move. But I refused to give her that power. The day I officially moved out, I made sure to document everything, sign papers, bank statements, and even some of her recent messages. I wanted to have proof in case she tried to pull some stunt later. Honestly, part of me felt like I was finally taking back control after feeling so helpless for so long. It was a mixed feeling, relief, anger, sadness, kind of all at once. I wasn't just walking away from her. I was walking away from the illusion I'd built around her, the one where she was this perfect partner. Turns out, she was just another lying, manipulative woman who thought she could keep her secrets forever. After I moved out, I stayed with a friend for a while trying to get my head straight. I couldn't sit still. I was constantly thinking about what I should do next. The betrayal haunted me daily. I kept questioning everything, the trust I had, the love I thought I shared, even my own judgment. How did I miss all the signs? Why did I let her push me into doubts and insecurities? The worst part was realizing she had been cheating on me during my most vulnerable moments. During my espionage trial, when I was defending someone else's freedom, she was out screwing around behind my back. It made me sick to my stomach. During that time, I also found out more about her new fling, if you could even call it that. Turns out it wasn't just some one-night stand. She'd been seeing Alex for months, maybe longer. I found evidence of secret meetings, late-night texts, and even some shared accounts that weren't mine. I couldn't believe how cold she was, how she lied to my face every step of the way. It wasn't just about sex. It was about her sneaking around, playing her little game of deception while I was busy fighting for my career and reputation. It made me realize she'd never really cared about me. She was only interested in her own selfish needs. The emotional roller coaster was exhausting. I'd swing from rage to despair, then to numbness. One minute I was furious at her for cheating. The next I was mourning the loss of what I thought we had. I'd catch myself thinking about all the good times and then feel guilty for even missing them. Because how could I miss something so rotten? How could I feel regret for loving someone who was so clearly using me? These thoughts haunted me every day. I'd wonder if I'd ever be able to trust anyone again, or if I'd just end up alone, guarded forever. But amid all this chaos, I knew one thing: I had to stand up for myself. I decided to cut all contact with her, block her from my phone, and delete all the messages that still haunted me. I needed to start healing, even if it meant admitting I'd been played for a fool. I wasn't going to let her manipulate my mind anymore. I started focusing on myself, going back to the gym, reconnecting with friends, and trying to rebuild some sense of normalcy. Because if I didn't, her betrayal would own me forever. As I look back, now I realize how much I underestimated her. I thought I knew her, but she was just a bitchy, selfish user. She thought she could keep secrets, cheat, lie, and get away with it. I see that now. The trick is, I didn't just lose her. I lost that naive version of myself who believed in love, trust, and loyalty. But I've also gained something: clarity, a hard-earned lesson about who people really are. I'll never be naive again, and I'll always be cautious. Because if someone is willing to cheat and lie so easily, then they don't deserve my trust or my love. Now I'm at a crossroads. I know I'm not ready to jump into another relationship, not yet. I need to rebuild my life, my confidence, my sense of worth. And honestly, I'm glad I finally saw her true face. It's a bitter pill, but I guess I had to go through all this to learn that sometimes loving yourself is the only thing that really matters. And if I've learned anything from all this chaos, it's that betrayal cuts deep, but it also forces you to grow. And I intend to grow, stronger, wiser, less naive, even as the days turned into weeks. The pain of her betrayal lingered, but so did a strange sense of clarity. I started doing things I hadn't done in years, working on myself, rediscovering what I liked, and rebuilding my confidence. It was hard, no doubt. Some nights I'd lie awake, replaying every moment, every lie she told, trying to make sense of how I'd fallen for her manipulations. But I knew I couldn't stay stuck in that place forever. I had to move forward, even if part of me still felt shattered inside. One thing that hit me hard was realizing how much I'd let her manipulate my trust. I kept asking myself, how did I not see the signs? Was I just too in love to notice? Or was she better at lying than I was at reading people? I've come to understand that sometimes love blinds you, makes you overlook the obvious, makes you ignore your gut feelings. But that doesn't mean I was weak. It just means I was human, vulnerable, and trusting. Now, I see that trust should never be blind, especially with someone who shows signs of being self-centered and bitchy. I also started seeing the bigger picture, that her cheating wasn't just about sex. It was about her wanting attention, validation, some sense of power. She liked feeling desired, even if she pretended she didn't care. The fact that she lied so effortlessly, played her little games, it all pointed to a deep-rooted insecurity, maybe her way of compensating for something she felt was missing inside. And honestly, I felt foolish for ever thinking she was different, that she was the one. She was just another selfish woman who thought she could have her cake and eat it too. I won't lie, I still get angry sometimes. I get mad at myself for trusting her, at her for being so manipulative, and at the universe for throwing this chaos into my life. But I also understand that I can't change what's happened. The only thing I can do is learn from it. That's what I've been trying to do, be stronger, smarter, more cautious. I don't want to be naive anymore. Trust has to be earned, not given blindly. And anyone who thinks they can cheat and lie their way through life isn't worth my time. I've been talking to some close friends about all this, and they've been surprisingly supportive. Some told me I deserved better, that I should focus on rebuilding myself and not let her get away with what she did. Others said I should just forget about her, block her completely, and never look back. Honestly, I see both sides. I know I won't be able to trust her again. She's burned that bridge beyond repair. But part of me still feels a strange attachment, like I'm holding on to memories of what I thought we had, even if I now know it was built on lies. The biggest lesson I've learned is that betrayal cuts deep, but it also reveals who people really are. Lisa's bitchy attitude, her lying, her manipulative ways, they all say a lot about her character, and I can't let her define me or my future anymore. I've started focusing on my career, my passions, and just trying to get back to a place where I feel whole again. Every day is a struggle, but I remind myself that I'm worth more than someone who cheats and lies. I deserve honesty, respect, and someone who genuinely cares. Maybe that's naive to believe, but I still hold on to hope that someday I'll find someone who's genuine. Now I'm slowly healing, even if the scar of her betrayal will probably stay with me forever. It's a hard truth to swallow, that someone you loved and trusted can be so selfish and deceitful. But I've also realized that I'm stronger than I thought. I survived her betrayal, and I'm determined to come out of this better, wiser. I don't want to carry this anger forever, but I do want to remember the lessons it's taught me. Because if nothing else, I've learned that real strength is in how you pick yourself up after being knocked down. And right now, I'm doing just that, standing tall, rebuilding, and refusing to let her betrayal define my future. If I could give anyone advice after going through something like this, it would be, trust your instincts, don't ignore the signs, and never let anyone make you feel like you're crazy for seeing the truth. Because when someone shows you who they really are, believe them. Don't make excuses or try to change them. And above all, never forget your worth. Because if someone's willing to cheat, lie, and manipulate, they don't deserve your love or respect. You do, always, looking back now. I realize the biggest lesson I've learned from all this chaos is that betrayal doesn't just hurt. It reveals the truth about people. Lisa's bitchy attitude, her lies, her manipulative games, they all exposed her real character, and I'm grateful for that, even if it took me a long time to see it clearly. I used to think love meant blindly trusting, giving someone the benefit of the doubt no matter what. But I've come to understand that trust isn't blind, it's earned, and it's fragile. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. For a long time, I ignored the signs because I didn't want to believe it was possible that she'd cheat on me, that she'd betray everything we built. But sometimes the truth is right in front of you, and all you have to do is open your eyes. Now, I'm in a different place, not better yet, but definitely stronger. I've started rebuilding my life piece by piece. I focus on my career, my friends, and myself. I've realized that I don't need someone who manipulates and lies to feel complete. I can stand alone, on my own terms, and find happiness that isn't dependent on someone else's approval or affection. That's the biggest takeaway for me, self-respect. No one is worth sacrificing your dignity for, especially not someone who cheats and lies behind your back. There's a strange sense of peace I've found through all this chaos. It's not the kind of peace you get from a happy ending, but the calm that comes with knowing you're finally honest with yourself. I won't be naive again. I'll be cautious, maybe even a little guarded. but I refused to let her betrayal turn me into someone bitter or distrustful forever. Instead, I choose to see it as a hard-earned lesson, one that taught me to love myself first, to value honesty, and to be careful who I let into my life. Looking at the future, I know it won't be perfect, and I'll probably carry scars from this experience for a long time. But I also know I'm capable of healing. I've learned that sometimes you have to go through the worst to get to the best. I've been broken, yes, but I've also grown stronger because of it. The pain has pushed me to be more cautious, more aware, and more respectful of my own worth. To anyone out there dealing with betrayal, I'll say this. Don't ignore the signs. Don't let guilt or love make you stay in something that's broken. You deserve honesty, respect, and loyalty. If someone is willing to cheat and lie, they're not worth your time or energy. Walk away, take care of yourself, and rebuild your life. Trust is a gift. Don't give it away easily. It's hard, it hurts, and sometimes it feels like you'll never trust again. But believe me, you will. And when you do, it will be with eyes wide open, knowing what to look for, knowing your worth. I don't regret what happened because it made me realize who I am and what I want. I may have lost her, but I gained clarity. I've learned that true strength isn't in holding on to someone who cheats, it's in knowing when to let go and moving on. That's what I'm doing now. Moving on, stronger than ever, with a clearer understanding of life, love, and myself. And that's something no betrayal can take away.